Let your breath soften, and imagine a long, quiet night stretching across the cities of America. A night filled with whispered secrets, hidden loyalties, and the slow, steady footsteps of men who worked patiently in the shadows. Tonight, we drift into the gentle story of how the FBI, an agency often overlooked in the early days of American history, slowly and calmly unraveled the silent empire of the Mafia. Not through dramatic battles, not through sudden violence, but through observation, loyalty, and time. Allow your thoughts to settle, like dust drifting down in a beam of warm light. Let each word guide you into calmness, and let the story move softly, as if unfolding in a dream. In the early decades of the 20th century, the Mafia had quietly taken root in America. It was not a single group, but a network of families, each with its own leaders, its own rituals, and its own codes of loyalty. The Mafia began not as a force of power, but as a response to the uncertainty and hardship faced by immigrant communities. In crowded neighborhoods where opportunities were rare and protection was uncertain, men formed secret alliances to create order where the world offered chaos. These alliances hardened into power. Power hardened into hierarchy. And the hierarchy grew into an underground nation hidden in the heart of America. While the Mafia was expanding quietly, the FBI in those early years remained distant, focused more on bank robbers, kidnappers, and espionage. For a long time, its director, J. Edgar Hoover, refused to acknowledge that a vast criminal network even existed. Some say he feared the political consequences. Some say he doubted the intelligence. Others felt the Mafia's silence was so absolute it was easier to ignore than to confront. But history rarely allows truth to remain hidden forever. In the tranquil town of Appalachian, New York, on a cool November day in 1957, an extraordinary event took place. A farmhouse, unremarkable, quiet, surrounded by falling leaves, was chosen as the meeting place for the most powerful Mafia leaders in the nation. Bosses arrived in shiny cars, spoke softly under the open sky, and believed themselves safely hidden. But a New York State trooper noticed the expensive cars and grew curious. His suspicion brought attention, and suddenly this secret meeting erupted into confusion. Mafia bosses ran into forests, ducked behind bushes, tripped over stone walls in their polished shoes. Many were caught, many escaped, but the damage was done. Appalachian revealed the truth. The Mafia was real, it was nationwide, and it was organized. The FBI could no longer deny it. The years that followed were slow and careful, like turning the pages of an ancient book. A new generation of federal agents wanted to understand, not simply react. They studied the structure of the Mafia, its families, its rituals, its careful balance of violence and loyalty. Information was scarce. Fear kept witnesses silent. The oath of omerta, the ancient code of secrecy, held stronger than the threat of prison. But again, history shifted with one man's breaking point. His name was Joe Valachi, a low-level Mafia soldier imprisoned and afraid that his own organization had marked him for death. In desperation, and perhaps in hope, Valachi spoke to the FBI. He became the first insider to reveal the structure of the Mafia. He described the families, the bosses, the rituals, the responsibilities, even the meaning of the word Cosa Nostra. The Mafia's secret map was now visible. For the first time, the FBI understood the shape of the hidden world they were fighting. The 1970s brought new tools and a new level of patience. Undercover agents quietly eased themselves into Mafia circles, not with force, but with steady trust built over years. One of the most famous was an agent named Joseph Pistone, known to the Mafia as Donnie Brasco. He lived among them, worked with them, and listened as they spoke freely of deals and alliances, never knowing that their quiet conversations were slowly weaving the threads that would later unravel them. Wiretaps, carefully placed in phones, clubhouses, restaurants, and union halls, brought fragments of truth directly into the FBI's hands. An agent might listen for weeks without hearing anything useful. Then, in a single, soft moment, a whispered sentence would reveal a piece of the puzzle. This quiet work continued day after day, night after night. It was a battle fought in patience, in silence, and in dedication to the long view. Then came the RICO Act, a law that changed everything. Before RICO, prosecutors could arrest a mobster only for the crimes he personally committed. But the Mafia was a system, a web, a structure built on the actions of many. RICO allowed prosecutors to charge the entire organization if they could show a pattern of criminal activity. It was the key that opened the final door. Using RICO, the FBI launched the Commission Case, a massive effort to bring down the governing body of the New York Mafia. Hour after hour of wiretaps, careful surveillance, and years of patient undercover work came together in a case so strong that even the most powerful bosses could not escape. Convictions followed, long prison sentences began, and the Mafia's structure, once towering and solid, started to crumble. The 1980s and 90s saw the FBI continue its slow, steady work. Casinos in Las Vegas, once quietly skimmed by mob families, were exposed. Labor unions, long under Mafia pressure, were freed. Political corruption that had linked government and crime was brought into the open. The Mafia did not vanish, but the foundation beneath it grew thin, fragile, unsteady. The quiet persistence of federal agents, men and women who worked in offices, listened to tapes, wrote reports, and sat through cold stakeouts, had done what violence never could. They lifted the veil on a world built in darkness. And so tonight, as you rest and your thoughts drift like smoke rising into still air, remember that this story is not one of sudden victories or dramatic endings. It is a story of patience overcoming force, of loyalty to the law outlasting loyalty to secrecy, of quiet determination slowly dissolving a hidden empire. The FBI did not take down the Mafia in a single moment. It happened slowly, softly, through the steady unfolding of truth. And just as darkness cannot resist the gentle persistence of dawn, secrecy cannot endure against the slow, steady presence of those who seek the light. Tonight, let that calm lesson settle into you, that patience is powerful, that truth rises with time, and that the quiet path, though often overlooked, is sometimes the strongest one of all. Let your breath soften, let your shoulders loosen. Feel the heaviness of rest begin to gather. The story is finished, the night is peaceful, and you are safe. Sleep well beneath the calm glow of history's quiet wisdom.